Okay, here's the highlights from our October 27th chat room session, trading chat room at greatstockpicks.com. I'm going to go over all the calls from today. It's hardly a day to brag. I'm sure most people did well, but I got to be honest with you. When the market was gapping up so big this morning, as I told our members, it's really not my favorite scenario to trade in. Typically, it's one of my least favorite scenarios when the market gaps up. But with patience, we did find some really nice setups and some nice trades. I was actually pleasantly surprised. APKT, if I take today's candle out of it, that was the first call of the day. It was getting killed here on the daily, based a little bit, and then yesterday looked like it was rolling over. Well, then this morning, with this kind of setup, and then it gaps up, my thinking was we might have some shorts trapped. A great entry on this pullback using 5-minute candles, but I didn't catch it. I wasn't watching it at the time. I mean, I had it on our watch list, but I missed it. But it gave me a second chance to get us in. This tight little base here still hadn't taken out the 15-minute high. So I liked it over this base, said it has a good chance to get a move through the high of the day if it breaks this base. And another thing I liked about the base is that you put your stop right below the base, gives you a nice tight stop. So good chance for some short covering on this base break. That was my thinking. 34.22 was my entry idea with a stop at 34. Even so, 22-cent risk. There's the trigger. 5 minutes later, then it's through the high of the day. And just never really looked back, went all the way over 36. So at one point, $1.92 a share above our entry on 22 cents risk. A really nice one there. JDSU, this is an example of what I think was a really good call by me and a horrible trade by me, because what happened was I called it, let's scoot over here. I called it right over this little base. 11.27 entry idea, stop 8 cents below. And here's a lesson I still struggle with myself. When you have a stop that tight, you should either let it work or not work, right? Either it's going to stop you out or the trade's going to work. There's the trigger, and then it comes back to my entry. And at the same time, I don't have a simultaneous SPY chart to show you, but at the same time, the SPY was hitting, the S&P was hitting lows for the day. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to take a flat here. I can always re-enter on a high of day break. And then I looked away and never took the high of day break. But look what it did. 8 cents risk, never stops out, and it moves to, how high did it go? 12.21, almost $1 move in our favor on 8 cents risk, never stopped out, and I didn't make a nickel from it. So, you know, I talk about our triumphs. I should also talk about the stupid stuff I do, and JDSU was one of them. Now, several of our members did very well on that one and thanked me and everything, but if I talked anybody out of that trade when I said I'm killing it flat, they're probably hating on me right now, and maybe justifiably so. LNC, nice gap up, but everything gapped up. Went ahead and called it long at 20.73. Probably right about here if I had to guess, something like that. 20.73 with a stop just below the recent low. Try that again. Stop right there. And from 20.73, it made it to 21.65 at its height at the top there. 92-cent move on 25 cents risk. That one had a little wider stop than we usually call. MDRX, you know I love these things that are getting killed. Went ahead and called this long. This is an example of one that my first call triggered and failed on the first bounce attempt, and then the second bounce attempt. And this isn't, it's not a revenge trade. It's very important to understand. Oftentimes, the first bounce on these things that are getting killed, give a little bounce and then go take out the lows of the day. As a matter of fact, I tell our members, if you can have the intestinal fortitude or the wherewithal to sit on your hands and not take that first bounce and wait for the second one, you'll have a much higher winning percentage. Now, sometimes you get basically a V bottom and they never look back. So the worst that can happen if you don't take the first setup that we teach is it runs without you. And maybe some mental damage there watching something run without you. But I always say the second bounce is the better one to go, and I called it and was projecting the chart for everybody to see the setup. Called it right there with a stop right there. So the numbers on that one, 18.95. Again, I was projecting it live. 14 cents risk, and you can see it never stopped out. And from 18.95 went all the way up to over 20. So $1.11 move in our favor on 14 cents risk. Another really good risk reward there. And then CMCSA is another one that I called that I did not stick with. Ended up with a flat on that one, but it would have worked well had I just let my stop work. Called CMCSA right there with a stop right there. So it was 24.05, went to 24.87. 82-cent move in our favor, 15 cents risk that never stopped out, and that's another example of one that I called and didn't make my stop work. So that's a habit I think I need to get out of, but I can't complain because I've had some really, really nice trades the last couple days. But I will say that if you have a good risk reward system, okay, and it gives you a trigger and the stop is tight, in theory, you should just let this, and assuming your position size is correct, okay, not crazy position size, but within your parameters, such that if you get stopped out, you're okay with it, right? It's within your pain threshold, if you will. In theory, you're supposed to just take the trade, place your stop, and then let it work or not work. And that's something I still need work on after trading for over a decade. Everybody has their demons to wrestle with in this game, and that's still one of my weaknesses. I'd rather be out flat, try to find another entry, but a lot of times when I do the wrap-up video and go over the calls from the day, a lot of them I killed flat and would have never stopped out on. So I will say this. I've never, at the end of any trading day, and I'm sure you know what I mean, looked at the trades that I made and said, you know what, I was perfect today. And that's how trading is. You've got to get your head around that and understand that you're never going to say to yourself, I pulled every penny out of the market I could have. That's something that's not possible. So it's important to just go ahead and be at peace with that and pull out what you can from the market. All right, that's my babbling for today. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good night.